Hello and welcome to today's practice. Let's start in a comfortable seat. So really make yourself comfortable. You don't have to look like what I look like in the video. Maybe you're sitting on a chair, on a couch, on a block, on a pillow, on a blanket. Maybe you're wrapped in a blanket. Just really make yourself comfortable. And wherever you're sitting, make sure that you can find a nice long spine. So you're really alert and awake. And for this beginning part, feel free to keep the eyes open. If you'd like, you can close the eyes as well. And we're just going to start really tuning into our inner experience. So today's practice is going to be following what we feel and seeing how dialed in we can be to what we're feeling, and not what we're thinking that we feel, but physically what we're feeling on the inside. So there's going to be little instruction. There'll be general guides. Might throw out some ideas for you to try out. But I really want you to focus inward and allow what you feel from within to guide you in this practice today. So as we sit here, maybe you choose to notice how the breath feels in the body. Maybe you choose to bring awareness to the spine, what that's feeling like right now, or down into the pelvis, or the legs or the arms, or maybe the muscles of the face, or maybe a little bit of everything. So we'll just take a few moments to just kind of find some quiet, allow ourselves to not get distracted. So whatever you need to do for that to happen, to help yourself not get distracted so you can really tune in, really dial in, you can do that. And we'll take a few moments here really to turn our awareness inward and notice what we find. We may find emotion, among other things, and allow ourselves to sit with what we find. So if you have your eyes closed, feel free to gently flutter them open. And we'll make our way onto our hands and knees for our tabletop position. So as you make your way onto your hands and knees, finding a position that feels right for you. And as I said earlier, really dialing into what are the sensations in the body? What do you feel? And as you begin to move, what is the body telling you about that movement? Maybe you decide to change the way you're moving as we explore and unearth what we're actually feeling as we move. So we're on our hands and knees, and I want you to begin to move your rib cage, your head, your shoulders, your neck, your spine, your hips. Move them freely. Move them in any direction that intuition tells you to move. And notice what you feel. Notice how things come up for you. Notice where you end up moving. Where is it that your intuition telling you to move? Notice what the breath feels like as you move. Notice how your musculature is supporting you as you move. Notice if the body is trying to tell you something about the way you're moving. Is there pain creeping in anywhere? And what might that mean if there is? Is there freedom, a sense of ease, or is it tight and blocked up as you move in certain places? So really just checking in, and maybe halfway through you feel like you need to change the positions of the arms or the legs, and you can do that as well. So today's practice is really about you tuning into what you feel and making those decisions as you go. Maybe you take a break, maybe you go a little faster, a little slower. So as we move, really having that in mind that you can switch things up as you see fit. Maybe you choose to breathe slow and steady. Or maybe you just allow the breath to happen as you go and notice what that feels like. And it's only through exploration and trying out different things can we know what is working and what isn't. But only once we are paying attention to what it is we're doing as we do it. Awareness all the way through. So from here, I want you to make your way to a plank. So for some of us, we might want to do a low plank, keeping the knees on the floor, so just walking the knees back a little bit. For others, we might want to curl the toes under, lift the knees, so in more of a traditional plank position on the hands and knees, or a low plank with the knees lowered. And I want you to play around with moving around in this position. So what might that mean? How can you move your spine? Maybe rippling through the spine. So a similar idea to what we were doing on our hands and knees, but it might be a little more challenging in a plank position because we have a lot more weight through the arms and legs. Again, noticing what you notice. Noticing maybe where you feel super integrated and everything's working together, and other places where you feel like the stability isn't quite there. There's gaps in the support, or maybe pain starts to creep in certain areas depending on what you're doing. Feel free to shift your weight side to side, forward and back, ripple through the spine, lift the hips a little bit, sink the hips down a little bit. I'm checking in with how things are feeling, maybe moving through the shoulders a little bit depending on how you're feeling, and noticing if maybe that is possible and maybe that's not possible, and just checking in with what is happening. And slowly we're going to make our way into a down dog, but keep the movement happening as you pull the hips up and back, shifting side to side. And once you're in your downward dog, feel free to keep rippling through the spine. Pedal the feet, bending one knee, bending the other, also pedaling through the hand, so maybe shifting the weight side to side, lifting one hand up off the floor and the other hand. If you feel like lifting the hands off the floor, you don't have enough stability for that, maybe coming to the fingertips, or even just shifting your weight side to side, more into one hand, more into the other as you do. Playing around with how the weight is placed in the hands. Notice how that feels. Moving through the shoulders, moving through the spine, through the hips, through the knees, through the ankles. So really kind of using downward dog as a general shape and seeing what movement you can create as downward dog as a general guide of a position as opposed to a definite position. And again, checking in with the breath, noticing what's happening there. And from here, you can keep this one simple if you wish, or you can keep it kind of wiggly. I want you to move back and forth between downward dog and your plank. And how many ways can you do that? So just gently shifting forward and back through the weight. And as you move into plank, you may choose to lower the knees to the floor, or you may choose to keep the knees lifted up off the floor. So we're checking in with how our core, how our center is supporting us as we shift back and forth. How aware can we be of what's happening through the torso that's going to support this movement? And how supported do we actually feel as we're doing the movement? Whether it's a kind of very simple, just forward and back, or if we choose to do something a little more dynamic as we shift back and forth. And then whenever you're ready, making your way to a forward fold position. So walking hands to feet or feet to hands, hopping, however you choose to do it, coming to a forward fold position. You can try feet together, you can try feet hip distance or maybe even a little bit wider. You could try toes slightly turned out, toes facing forward, maybe even toes turned in a little bit, knees straight, knees bent. Just see what happens as maybe you try a couple different ways of folding forward. Again, make it your own. Notice what you're feeling, honor what you're feeling if it doesn't feel great, and make a change. And see how that change affects what you're feeling. From here, I want you to slowly make your way to standing. And we're going to step the right foot back to a warrior one position. So the general guideline here is both hip bones are more or less facing straight forward, and the front knee is bent. The back leg is straight and the back toes are turned out a little bit. Now within that general structure, feel free to play around with how wide the legs are. That meaning how far back you stepped your foot back. Playing around with how close together the legs are, meaning is your back leg directly behind the other leg? Is it hip distance apart? Is it a little bit wider than hip distance apart? How turned out is that back leg? How bent is the front knee? And finding a place where you feel a little challenged, but not strained in any way. And with the arms, now this is where we start to really get kind of creative. I want you to move through the arms in any way that feels exciting, fun, expressive. Maybe the two arms are doing completely different things. Maybe you're rippling through the arms. Maybe you're rippling through the fingers. The arms could be out to the sides, down, out, front and back, sideways, diagonal. Constantly just keep it moving. Whatever you choose to do, keep it moving. And do something different than what you're accustomed doing. Notice how the shoulders, the torso, the back, the upper back, maybe even the lower back, the legs. Notice how they have to respond to what the arms are doing. If you're familiar with Warrior One, you're accustomed doing it in your yoga practice, chances are you do it only a few different ways. Chances are it's probably quite still. That's probably the norm. So just noticing how it might feel different if you brought some movement into it. And feel free to move through the torso as well. It's all about exploring, noticing what you feel, and allowing what you feel to guide you. From here, I want you to bring the arms to a place where you feel balanced, because we're going to shift our weight forward into that front leg and lift the back leg up. So making our way into a toppling tree / warrior 3 type position with the back leg behind you, and you shift your weight to the front leg and finding a place for the arms. And if you'd like to keep things moving, feel free through the arms, noticing how you have to find your balance. And then I want you to make your way back to your warrior 1. So stepping that back foot back, and then back into your toppling tree. And back to your warrior 1. So we'll do that one more time. Back to your toppling tree. Maybe you're doing something completely different with the arms this time around. And back to your warrior 1. Nice. From here, I want you to step your back foot in to meet the front and fold over the legs, and just take a moment to hang over the legs. Feel free to sway, to shake the head, shake the arms out, bend one knee, the other, wiggle. Whatever feels good. Maybe stillness is what you feel right now. So each general shape I give you, really just make it your own. Take a few moments. From here, make your way back to standing. And we're going to step the left leg back, the other leg back, into our warrior 1 on the other side. So finding a position that feels right. And then feel free to move through the torso, move through the arms, making different shapes, different movements, different tempo of movement maybe even. Notice what you notice. You may notice a quote-unquote weak spot, and that's useful to find, because oftentimes those are our blind areas. That's our blind spot, somewhere that we need to bring some light, some attention, some awareness. So playing around, exploring, moving. And when you're ready, shifting into your toppling tree position, shifting to that forward leg, lifting the leg behind you. I'm not too concerned with the position for this one today. I just want you to find some movement, try different arm positions, see what's happening with that back leg, with the standing leg, try different things. Shift back to your warrior 1. Shift forward to your toppling tree. Try different arm positions. Find what you find. Simply shift back to your warrior 1. Last time, back into your toppling tree, balancing on one leg. And back to your warrior 1. Stepping the back foot forward to meet the front, folding over the legs. From here, sinking down into a squat. So whatever that means for you, finding a low hip position and moving around in this position. Shifting weight side to side maybe, shifting your hips side to side, moving through the head and neck, the shoulders, the arms. Maybe reaching arms overhead, maybe reaching arms down in front of you, maybe reaching one arm back. And finally, the next little bit, You can make your way to laying on your back with the knees into your chest. Gently rocking side to side or making circles with the knees. Maybe staying in stillness if that's what feels right at this moment. And feel free to open the knees as wide as you'd like or bring the knees close together. If there's any kind of pinching or pain, honor that and adjust to suit so that we're not moving into pain. And transitioning to your final resting position, whatever that might mean for you today at this moment. Finding a position that you can rest in for a few minutes. And it may look completely different than laying flat on your back. It may actually be sitting up, maybe sitting in a chair, maybe laying on your side or your belly. And allowing yourself to rest here for a few moments. Again, checking in, tuning in, dialing in to the sensations within. Maybe tuning into an area of the body that you don't always think about or feel. Tuning into maybe what's happening emotionally. Tuning into maybe what's happening very physically. Maybe you have an injury or a area that needs a little extra attention. Maybe tuning into an area of the body that we don't like on ourselves. Noticing what we feel in that particular area, what we physically feel in that particular area. So really allowing ourselves to feel, allowing what we feel to guide us. So that we're really living in our bodies. Our bodies are immensely intelligent. And in today's society, we often don't give enough credit or acknowledgement to that intelligence of the body. Everything is about the mind and what the mind can think up and create. If we can tune into what we feel in our bodies, if we can really pay attention and live in our bodies, not in our minds, that will not only guide us in probably a healthy direction, emotionally, physically, but also guide us in a healthy mental direction as well. Mind will kind of automatically be put in check and be used as a useful tool as opposed to the thing that kind of runs wild with us. So taking a few more moments to just sit with our bodies, sit with our sensations. And I encourage you to stay here for as long as you can, as long as you'd like. I'd like to thank you for sharing your practice and sharing your energy today. Please subscribe to the channel to receive your weekly yoga and mindful movement classes. Check out the description box below for extra info and all that good stuff. Thank you so much again for practicing. One love. Namaste.